All right, I'm just going to get right down to this. My name's Bob Reynolds. I really don't like doing this kind of stuff, but I'm going to push myself out there to do it because, well, what I do like to do and what I'm very good at is assessing information. My background, I was an ex-Navy nuclear, or a former Navy nuclear submariner. Uh, my specialty was in nuclear chemistry as well as your regular modern chemistry, taking care of, you know, the reactor. And the other specialty besides the mechanical engineering and understanding systems and systems integrating together. And that's important to understand that because when you're doing research, you need to be able to take the integration of different disciplines and topics and be able to link them all together and be able to establish your own, probabilities and your critical thought processes along that way. And if you're not used to doing that, and so you meet somebody like me, you're going to go, where in the frick is this guy coming from? Okay, well, that's where I'm coming from. So I bounced out of the nuclear engineering field as a radiation protection specialist and a nuclear chemist. I became ill from a vaccine. Took about 3-4 years for it to finally take my health really down to chronic fatigue syndrome and recovering from premature cancerous situations. After I dove hard into alternative healing at that point and began studying as many fallacies as I could. In that, hold on here 1 second. And in that, I established another career as a environmental public health specialist. Became a certified environmental health technician as well as a certified pool inspector, instructor. But what I'm getting at is after I learned that my health went downhill, I started learning other stuff like Helda Clark in disease control and parasites and stuff. This is all 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 95. And my health, we don't want to get into my health per much, except for the history of the people that has led me and helped me to survive to this point to be able to bring to you my research of these last 90 days. So what we're going to do here is, first of all, I want to bring you some hope, okay? Because as crazy as what I'm about to share with you is truth as far as I can tell, there are simple solutions for the immediate issue, and I'm certain that there's going to be some other actions going on to help continue to help society and humanity at what some of the leading scientists that aren't on the frickin' take with the pharmaceutical Nazi industry might help us with. Anyways, let me calm down here and let me get into this. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I do want to start off saying what we're about to see for a lot of people is going to be really hard to take. I doubt that they'll have a hard time believing it. The ones that are going to believe it, you want to be standing pretty solid in your belief system. But more important, I want to give you hope because I've survived a lot of what's happening here. And there is some people just really divine, spirit-led, if you will. There's just a lot of coincidences of people getting to the bottom of what the nefarious medical industry and the geoengineering people are doing to us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of these sites and some of my research. Okay. And so let's just start off with this right here is one of my sites that I'm just for the last 90 days have turned into a health site. And I was going to go down to the bottom. We're going to work our way back up to some of these posts. I've got a stream of posts here, and I had it at the bottom. I could pause it, I guess, and get where I want to go. Hold on. All right, here we are. Sorry for that break, but I want to make this short. I don't think it's going to be short. But again, I saw this post, and I posted up here February 2nd, and it was from Dr. Bean on about him following up on some research that what was going on with the spike protein. And what he had found out in this video, and I could share some of it, but what he found out in this video
I dare you to
Oh,
let me
I don't want to go
guilt
through
you.
all the commercial stuff, but I'm going to silence it and let it play out and tell you what Dr. Bean found out. He found out that there was some tests that was done in Harvard where they track the spike protein shedding. And how it goes is when it touches people and it's airborne, it goes into your skin and it transfers into your bone, goes into your bone marrow. The best way to look at it is like a really super high fine tech fungus, almost like a penicillin, a white fungus, like a prion, which is what's behind, mad cow diseases, right? But anyways, so that spike protein, it gets into your bone marrow and it'll travel through your body and it leaches out of the bone across the bone blood barrier and gets into the organs in your blood. That's the spike protein. It also travels up into your skull. And from the skull, it leaches out of your skull actually into your brain matter and it starts heading and just actually slowly atrophying the brain. Okay, and that's what Dr. Bean will discuss in his reports here.
Uh, if spike protein was doing that in a wholesale, then we'll all develop a lot of brain damage. So it's not, which I think I have developed anosmia during one of the COVID as well. So then the question still stood that will the spike protein really be there? And if it is there, will it cause damage? And how will it reach there if it cannot easily disrupt the blood brain barrier? So imagine that that was my approach. And here comes a study, it's a preprint, it's from Germany, and that says, well, here is a new axis through which the spike protein is observed to enter the brain. And that disturbs me. So I'm going to show you.
Okay, so that's what I kind of wanted to hear right there is these studies are showing that, excuse me, the spike protein is showing up in the brain. And this was a year ago that Dr. Bean had put this out. And so I've really been really trying to be as astute as possible for my family and for me. This is how I've stayed alive. You'll hear about my story another time. Okay, so now just recently, going off of this, what again? Don't panic. It's very disheartening what we're going to find out today. But remember, there's a other side to this, and people can either do what's called premeditated ignorance through this, or they can embrace it, and there are actions that we can take right now to start helping, and then there's lifestyles that we can do. And like I say, my background's actually in containment design and separating, bad air uh, in bad environments and putting us in a healthy environment. And so all that'll come to play, and I'll get as much of my knowledge and research out here to just give free to the public, and my health offer will be out there, and I'll figure out there'll be some way out there to where keep giving. I'm sure I'll get back. Anyways, okay, so this was Dr. Bean. Now we're gonna go to this was just recent along with what Dr. Bean was seeing a year ago, listen to what this panel has found out. This is very short. Let's just listen to this. Let me cut my mic out so we don't get feedback. And just to give you real quick, what this pathologist has found out in Italy is that the mRNA vaccines, and again, we're all getting the spike protein, and so I'm trying to figure out what of the vaccine mRNA is spreading to people with spike protein. Is it doing the same thing? And what I'm going to show you is yes, whether we got the vaccine or not, the people that had the vaccine have more concentrated graphene in them, and some of the stuff that was actually in the vaccine. But a lot of the graphene has already been in circulating in the environment, and the spike protein is spreading, and you'll see later evidence that it's also possibly coming from the sky. And so the labs are showing that even the unvaxxed are showing spike protein and graphene, but not as severe. So what this gentleman found out was that the spike protein, like Dr. Bean had said, they noticed it was entering the brain. What these people have found out is it's entering the brain, and just like the report, if you would have continued, if I would have allowed Dr. Bean to continue, it was going in and it was actually atrophying the telomeres that was growing the neurons in the brain, at the base of the brain, at the hippocampus. And what these people have found out is it's destroying the hippocampus and completely destroying the pineal gland. Now, we could talk all day about medically what that does to people, and that's what he's going to talk about. This is a short video. I give you a longer review on it than it actually is. So let's listen to what this guy's saying.
Have identified the reasons from the theory and some two
hold on. Let me get my mic switched.
So a comment to what Tina said about the change in personality, depression, and all these things. This is very real, and we have identified the reasons from the theory, and some doctors in Italy have, some pathologists have confirmed that the spike protein unfortunately attacks and destroys also the endocrine system. So the glands producing hormones, and hormones are what make our emotions and feelings and all those things. And so an Italian pathologist near Venice, he went on a newspaper telling that all the brains he had investigated, he found the pineal gland completely destroyed on all the people who were vaccinated. Okay, so the spike protein is also very dangerous for the endocrine system. That's why people have these changes in personality, and yeah.
Notice he said in vaccine people, and the people under the scopes over here are saying that this stuff's in everybody non-vax too. So I'm keeping my eyes and ears out for the same studies that he mentioned in people that haven't been vaxxed. But at this point, humanity's got a huge problem, and not a lot of people know about it. And so the more people that can learn it and help their families head off some serious problems, don't wait till they get to you. Okay, so this was pretty much what's going on with spike protein in the brain. Now what we're going to do is transfer to the next phase of where the spike protein and some other chemicals in our environment are causing problems in our vascular system. Okay, so let's skip on over to here. And where I found, where I found that person was, we're going to keep scrolling right up here. And what I've done is on this site, I'm going to pause. On this site, I've got this is where I'm keeping everything I find right now for my research in the health. Okay, this is where I first met this lady here. She's an amazing nurse. Ria is her name. You want to learn from her. Okay, I'm going to play this. I'm going to be quiet for a minute because this startled me. And this is, when did I learn about this? This is the February 6th, okay? So let's see here. I'm going to close my
needle, and this happens all the time now. So this is an unvaccinated person's blood, and I drew it into a 50 ml syringe, and you can see within hours that a hydrogel plug has formed. So when I see it come down the draw line, so the very fine cannula line, I see tiny, tiny white specks, and then I know that that person has got some hydrogel in them. So here, I then leave it, or if I see somebody on live blood where I can see the structures, the hydrogel structures, So, and then I draw the blood. So what I'm going to show you now is you've got the normal red blood cells at the bottom, plasma at the top, and obviously a normal clot would be soft and you'd be able to wash that away. But you can actually see the hydrogel rubber plug in that. So that's formed together outside of the body. And some of these actually sadly form inside of the body and they end up being calamari clots. So you can see here, this is a complete hydrogel plug.
All right, did you catch that? Hydrogel. How in the hell are we getting hydrogel in our body? It's just not spike protein. So we're going to investigate all that here, okay? And but again, the great thing about all this, guys, is this woman with her lab experiment. And one other thing, let me explain. Let's see. Okay, we done that. Okay. So I'm going to kind of keep going up on my feed here and maybe talk about some other stuff before we go on. But what did I want to say here? On that hydrogel, I want to tell you about that. So let's get over here to Rhea and her nurses. And I'll just probably go down her site for a little bit. We'll talk about, so how I met Rhea was just what I do here, doing research and finding stuff, okay? They're hunting for all kinds of ways to get this stuff in us. For a bunch of reasons we're not going to go into right now. I'm going to scroll this as I'm talking just so you can kind of see the things that are on here. But I don't want to lose my concentration, so I'm going to pause this and get ready for, oh, here we are. This is when I really started paying attention to what Rhea has to say. She started finding stuff in her blood. Let's see if we can, one of these might have a video. Okay, wrong one. Oh, where's she at? I don't need to show you any more blood stuff coming out, right? You guys all good with that? Okay, here's a real quick, here's the doctor that takes care of the chemtrail pilots, just in case anyone, we're going to get way into that, okay? I learned about that in 2004 when excessive airplanes had a link. There was a link to my daughter getting bloody noses. And it wound up being...
EBO stands for extracorporeal blood ozonation and oxygenation, and it also has a very special filtration treatment system. What is EBO?
All right. And this right here is this nurse. It's the filtration system that they're using over in England right now in their facility. And what I'm doing now is I'm working with contacting doctors that have like kidney dialysis places in the United States to hook up with nurses, with these ladies, to try to get this process going here in the States. So that's one of the things that I'm making this for. Let's see here. Yeah, we don't want to get into any of that. No, there was just a... I got to slow down and just go through what I have. I wanted to go through what I've been collecting on my site here, specifically for today, what people are actually... There's a couple more. This is what's happening in the heart. And let me explain to you what's happening, okay? Let's see, there's some graphene. These are stuff they're seeing in the labs growing in us. Look at this right here. And we're going to see Mary Chrysler here in a little bit, some video on her. But she's finding stuff in the blood that she's never seen before after 30 years of doing this. Let's see, this guy, I just wanted you to know, this doctor, in every single case of MS, 100% of them, they have parasites in the brain and spinal cord. Okay, I've been studying Helda Clark and parasitology since 95. Okay, these are the things that are clogging up people's blood. And the sad thing is it could be in a vein in your brain, a veins in your kidneys. Here's a whistleblower coming forward telling you about what she's seen in the industry. This might be it. One of them.
See these
lights that are blinking. So nothing in human body is supposed
These.
to blink. These are nano and micro robots that are harvesting the human blood. These are red blood cells that are 19.
Okay. Let me, I'm going to shut my mic off and then I'm going to let this reel play. Really listen to what this lady's saying. This is what I'm showing you tonight is actually life-saving. Quality of life. And so I'd pay attention.
Unvaccinated blood, and you see these lights that are blinking. So nothing in the human body is supposed to blink. These are nano and micro robots that are harvesting the human blood. These are red blood cells that are basically their energy is being hijacked.
So you understand, these things running around blinking that are pulling up to the red blood cells, they're literally absorbing life force energy out of the mitochondria, out of the cell. Okay? Now listen, the EDTA gets the metals, and there's a lot going on here, but those four simple things, okay? Making sure you're getting washed all the time, making sure that you're minimizing as much outside as possible, but the most important is going to be learn how to start setting containment of your home and getting the right proper ventilation to keep a lot of the outside air away from you as well. There's the simple things to minimize the growth of the spike protein in your body to help minimize the damage to the hippocampus area. And we're going to be learning all this. Okay, so I'm going to play this and let her keep sharing here. It gets disheartening. I want to stop and kind of cheer you all up a little bit.
And what is being built is a polymer microchip. This is called a mesogen. This is exactly what Dr. Hildegard Standingo also found and implanted in targeted individuals. But you can clearly see that these nano and micro robots, they communicate via optogenetics, via light signals. They have swarm mentality. They use us as a battery and are able to grow very large structures. And so the fact that I am now seeing this in every unvaccinated person as well is highly, highly concerning.
I just want to make sure everybody caught that. This woman is seeing this in everyone, vaccinated and unvaccinated. All right?
Because it speaks to the modification of all of humanity. If you're able to go to the next video, it's another example. I think it's very important for people to see these visual examples um, because I think that that shows you the intelligence. So that large blinking light there, I call that a general micro robot. But so right now we're at a magnification of about 2000x. Some of the smallest moving particles there are probably around 500 nanometers.
Wow.
Are you able to show the next video?
We're still on the first one. There we go.
Okay, so what you see here is I want you to look at above. You see a micro robot and how it is able to maneuver through the blood and how intelligent it is. You see a polymer adjacent, but you see these blinking lights and they are absolutely artificially intelligently controlled. And this is again proof that this this technology is now in all of humanity. It is intelligent and it's programmed. And so what is very important for people to understand is everyone now has artificial intelligence, microrobotics within their system. And these large polymers are huge. If you think about that, a capillary is as big as one red blood cells. And some of these structures that are being built are hundreds of times larger than the arteries. You can understand how people.
All right. I just want you to just really let that sink in, okay? And again, the EDTA immediately takes the metals out, and the metals are a lot of what these pieces are running around. And then the digestive enzymes, the absorbic acid, the vitamin C, actually dissolves the hydrogel, so the body's able to get it out. But you still want to help your kidneys and your colon and your liver to be able to help draw it out. And it's in the environment. We're going to find out that the different chemicals they've been spraying, there's so many reasons for so many different types. But one of the main base types that they're doing is they're actually spraying the chemicals in our atmosphere that are needed to actually make hydrogel in our atmosphere. And so, and it's super nano. So it's like we're floating around in this fluid that we can't see. It's like it's a it's like an alcohol vinyl group is what it is, and it encompasses all these metals. We'll learn more about it as we go. The main thing here is seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. Okay? And you just heard this, so you could go to this site, and again, at the end of this on the video, I'm only going to have one link, and that one link is going to go to these two pages. Okay? This is the resource pages for all the links that I'm showing you here in this video. And then this one link will be posted. And at the very bottom of this link is a draft. It's going to be this draft, which is going to encompass a review of what we've just discussed. But it's going to have the health and wellness offer that I was working on before COVID came along, from the chemtrails, from being vaccine damaged, and through the years of surviving all that, is what this program's all about until the advancement of COVID and then the aftermath. So I've kind of been on that path, and so far, and you'll see these sites. These are the sites I'm working on to bring this information. I don't want to go into all this really right now. Let's jump back over to where we left off with the blood stuff. Okay, here. Okay, now what these people have done is they have started to work with a group. They have a clinic in the UK that's able to do amazing things, just like a dialysis, and it draws all that goop out of you, and it refurbishes your blood. It goes in real dark with goopy plastic in it, and it comes out clean and beautiful and red and oxidized. My goal is to hunt for investors here in the United States to put some stuff together, and I'll show you. I've got a couple doctors in mind, but I'm doing all this pro bono, so, and we'll get to that later. So this is the long haulers established from Renee and her group, and I would advise definitely hooking up and learning as much as you can while you can. This is the long haulers. You can register. They have telemedical. They have treatment. You can get in touch with them there. You can fly there if you need to. We're trying to get it here. They also have a membership to where you do get more insightful information. It's like literally $4 a month. So I'd recommend checking this out because there's more information in this. And again, there's links in all of this. Okay, we're moving right along. Here's another research, and this is a woman that, here's the article if you want to read it, but I went through and found the link to the page in the article, and this video.
There is nothing to fear from vaccine boosters. Resident White House dementia patient Administrator Joe Biden publicly received
Okay.
a Pfizer booster
So
shot
let's
on Monday.
we're not listening to all this.
That scours, crawls on, or occupies America, regardless of age,
Okay,
health status,
come on,
or
buddy.
religious
And I don't
conviction.
have all this puffs.
But
I'm not
that
the
dictatorial
best guy
push
at
just
this.
isn't
I don't
enough.
even want to.
So they're also
Anyway,
extending
we won't
their
get
push
into that.
to
It's
booster
just a
shots.
responsible thing to do.
Voted against endorsing boosters.
Okay, we know all that. Let's
Only
get to the
It
top.
had already
Okay,
been
here we
used
go.
to examine.
Here we go.
Okay, so first of all, it was in July that a local lab in Georgia said they wanted me to examine contents of
Shoot, man, that did not go well, did it?
a vial that they had just received.
All right, man. I'm sorry about this.
This vial was fresh. It had already been used. A lab in Georgia said.
And again, I realized I don't know what I'm looking at here, so help me out.
Okay, so first of all, it was in July that a local lab in Georgia said they wanted me to examine contents of a vial that they had just received. This vial was fresh. It had already been used to be injected into at least one patient. Because it was the end of the day, they were going to discard it. So they were able to get the vial. And this particular vial was Moderna. And so I was there to witness them getting that and putting some of the contents on a glass slide with a compound microscope to look at it. And it was nothing was added to this solution. Nothing was diluted. No human tissue was added. Only the white light for the microscope. And of course, over time, it was becoming more room temperature from the refrigeration. That was it. And so at first it looked just translucent. And then as time went on, over 2 hours, colors appeared, which I've never seen anything like this. There wasn't a chemical reaction happening. It was a brilliant like blue and royal purple and a yellow and sometimes green. And so these colors appearing, I did not know what that was. After investigating a superconducting material can do that with white light being emitted to it. Okay, a superconducting material would be something like an injectable computing system. Anyhow, these fibers were appearing more and more. Some of the fibers had a little cube structure on that. I'm not sure what that was. And also metallic fragments were in there. They were not metallic fragments I'm used to seeing, a more exotic. They're very opaque, as well as, as the edge of the cover slide goes, so the cover slip, when you put a glass partition on that or a piece on top of the glass slide, there are edges. And so all the particulates, all these colors started to move to the edge, and there was self-assembling going on. Things were growing. They looked synthetic. And then there was one particular, I'd say, object or organism, I'm not sure what to call it, that had tentacles coming from it. And it was able to lift itself up off of the cover, off of the glass slide.
It was alive? Like the thing was alive?
It appeared to be self-aware or be able to grow or move in space. I mean, all I can tell you is this is not something they taught us in medical school, nothing in my laboratories, nothing that I've seen before. And I've showed this to other people in the field and they don't know what it is either. And I thought, when I first saw this and I kept looking at it over and over again, I had a colleague with me, and we both thought, wow, this almost appears like it's self-aware, like it knows we're watching it. It's just an.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah. There was some other stuff back here with Rhea that gets even more into some of her slides. This is heavy metal that was, let's see. Oh, and that's where I would take the time and go and look through some of Rhea's findings, because she's done an
always
amazing
look
job.
at the health of the gut. And one of the things that we can see are candida buds or yeast buds. And mostly we can see that in phase
You can learn so much from her. Let me see here. All right. I believe that I've showed you enough of this part to realize that there really is plenty of proof that we have stuff in us from the shot at this point, and I think other things, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, to raise a concern that we all need to start doing something for our children. These ladies, these people have provided some help. You've heard from this woman. And finally, if you haven't seen this documentary is from a whole of embalmers, people that mortuary, coronaries. And if you haven't seen this whole thing, you need to, if you really want to know the truth. To listen to all these doctors. I think the one that broke my heart the most was there was a doctor in Canada who was an OBGYN, had been delivering babies for like 30 years or something, and he had seen more carnage in the first 2 years of COVID from baby miscarriages in 2 years than he'd seen his whole 30 years of practice. He quit practicing. These, I loved what Rhea had mentioned, called them like calamari. This hydrogel in our veins, it starts, wherever it starts getting the most, it starts coagulating and it starts getting super hard. And these mortuary people, when they go to embalm, they're pulling it out of people left and right, and a lot of them aren't saying anything. So I don't know if you've seen this or not, but they really...
I'll be there as soon as I can. I'll be there as soon as I can. I'll give you a call shortly. All right. Bye. Okay. Well, it looks like I got to go to work. So maybe you guys can come with me and we can.
And that's why what we see back there, people need to know. Nobody will know unless we tell them what we're seeing, because it happens and then you have a visitation and a burial and it's over.
I feel as though I am seeing something that could be causing their death. And the dead can't speak for themselves, so therefore the only way to bring this forward is like, I have to speak for them.
This right here is all of the hydrogel that they're pulling out of dead people. And personally, I don't want that to be happening to the people I love. And that's the biggest reason I'm making this. All right, let's be moving along. Again, there's only the 4 things right now that can help dissolve that. Now, here's a gentleman that we're almost to the end. Hang with me here.
Can't diagnose what's wrong or can't seem to find treatment that works. In a moment, we'll speak with a researcher who's unraveling some of the mysteries.
Help could be on the way for many.
Did you know that some of the biggest market moves, actually most of the biggest market moves, actually happen after hours while most traders are totally off the clock? See, many people are trying to find the daytime swings.
We focus on the overnight market shifts.
First, we hear from some patients.
That's wrong. Down right there. Let me take a look at your eye.
If there's a singular person that first set the gears turning for Dr. Jordan Vaughn, it's Vandiver Chaplin.
Big deep breath in and out.
It was December 2020, shortly after his COVID vaccines.
What were you feeling?
I just felt terrible, dizzy, lethargic, all those kind of things. And I was having some optical issues too. My vision would just go blurry suddenly. And then maybe
back, I could walk, I could do things.
And then to see the turnaround.
Okay, what this doctor did, all he's done so far as I understand watching this, is put his patients on like triple anticoagulants. Great. So if they get hurt, they're not going to clot, I don't think that's the approach. I think Rhea, at being able to get this stuff out of the blood for people that are really chronic, and be able to get there's just 4 supplements right now that they're recommending that they're actually seeing a difference looking under the microscope. And that's what we want, is we want somebody that where we can test the prognosis and we can verify the results. And that's why I've got 2, you'll see I have 3 or 4 people that I'm watching that have labs to where they can test. Okay, so who's this? Let's see. That's the town hall. Now this guy has a clinic, and this here is here in the U.S. I don't think he's got nearly the good protocol that these ladies have, that this place has. My job is to bring them together. That's what I'm going to be doing in this next. And if he doesn't, that's fine. There's plenty of more doctors out there that are willing to help people. So we've covered this. Now let's get to we've covered that. This is the town hall one. Yep. This is their help. And what's here? Oh, this is great. Okay, listen to what this guy has to say. And again,
no matter what you say, what you do, or what incentive you put out there, just refuse to take the vaccine. Here in America, this represents somewhere between 19 to about 30% of the population, depending on how you do the numbers. And so, wouldn't it be nice if there was some way that the government could disseminate the vaccine quietly, in a way that people wouldn't even realize that they were getting vaccinated? That way, you can achieve your goal with minimal resistance. Well, if that's what you were thinking, you're in luck, because scientists over at Yale University have just taken a giant step towards making such a thing reality. This paper right here that you can see up on your screen was published just 2 weeks ago by
it's important. See these polymer nanoparticles. Keep an eye on that, because a lot of that's the hydrogel and a lot of that's in the air. Okay, moving along.
researchers over at Yale University. The paper is titled Polymer Nanoparticles Deliver mRNA to the Lung for Mucosal Vaccination. And what these researchers over at Yale were able to achieve is to develop a new airborne method of delivery for mRNA vaccines. They were able to vaccinate these mice using 2 doses administered through the nose of a vaccine which contained nanoparticles carrying the mRNA COVID vaccine. These mice were vaccinated without a single injection. And according to the researchers, this experiment
All right. Anyways, I'm not sure for certain that they've actually put it in crops or anything. Oh yeah. So this guy died not too long ago. After he reported his findings, and those findings being that the spike protein is actually completely destroying and swapping out sperm. So it makes you wonder on all the miscarriages, is it just the women? And this is what this guy has been finding out. Let me see. This picture is that guy's lecture, the German pathologist. Vaccinated males, spike protein. Well, spike protein, we just heard, it's spreading to everybody. So I would definitely have your sperm checked if you're planning on having kids. All right, let's see here. Anything else? Oh, we got Jay. So now we've gone from the spike protein, the clogs, what it's doing to the brain, and now we're over here looking at this gentleman because he is really good at keeping up on all the paperwork for the research in biodigital convergence that they're hiding from us. The World Health Forum, the bald-headed dude that thinks, his whole deal is he wants to create better humans. And I don't know if you know that guy. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on him. But why I wanted to bring Jay up here is because he has come up and showed me this report. This report, and I think I have a link for this. I'll make sure. This is how to look at this last part. The evolution of machines, the evolution of humans. Okay, nanobots to hook humans up. I'm pretty sure I have this on there. If not, I'll make sure it's on there. So, smart dust, nanobots, we've already seen it inside of us. Here they say it's coming. Okay, it's already here. Oh, what's the... Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second because there's boatloads of commercials on BitChute, but this is one of the women that had this other article over here. Where was it? This article. Okay. Self-propelling critters. So she talks over here. Oh, maybe we already listened to her. Where's she at? I thought that's what this was. Let's see here. All right, so I'm going to pause this for a sec. Okay, so I accidentally cut off, and anyway, so this is the woman. We're just going to start this. She's talking about uninjected blood and what she's seeing going on. Similar to the other ones, you'll understand this. We're about done, so hold on in there because I want to make sure at the end of this, you still have ways to get in touch.
A sample of a spot sample, strontium, magnesium, and tellurium. So the same things that are in the chemtrails. And then here is another spot analysis, and I get silicone, zirconium, magnesium, and tellurium. I looked at another area where I could start to see fibers forming. And when I look at this area, I get platinum, strontium, tellurium, and some other organic things, silicone, of course. And then I go after a particle that's inside of one of the fibers, and I get platinum, chlorine, 19.6 or 0.06%. Molybdenum, I don't see so much. Rhodium, rhenium, these might be outliers, but the machine is pretty definite that these things are here. Silicone and tin. Another spot analysis inside one of the fibers, I've got silicone, platinum, you get the picture, strontium, tellurium, the same suspects. And then another one, and here's your tin, and here's your platinum at 62.36%. Another right inside of the fiber, I've got titanium, iodine, which isn't abnormal, but again, silicone, 42.10%. This is uninjected blood, and this looks a lot like a claw, but it's something that the body looks as if it's trying to break down. And in spot number 2, I have silicone, magnesium, calcium, strontium, and tellurium again. Then I wanted to look at injected blood, and I have shown this before. This is what I call a biosensor. Can I prove it? No. In literature, these are made heavily of platinum and silicone. And this was inside of 1 drop of dried hydrogel, 1 drop of blood.
Okay, that's probably enough of that. This is like 2 hours. So what we're finding is all the metals to make up the nano, like solid state, electronic transceiving and transmitting kind of devices in our blood. Okay, so that takes care of the geoengineering and what she'd mentioned. It's the same stuff that she was seeing in the geoengineering samples in the air as in the blood. Caught that, right? So now let's head over to Mike here, to where he got a sample from Dr. Ruby that had fallen out on her plastic from some fog a while back. So he's been incubating it.
And we're going to be beginning a science experiment here today. We are taking the sample, show my microscope screen. This is the sample from Dr. Jane Ruby from Florida. And as you can see here, these are some of the weird diploid egg-like structures that we found in the sample here. And the sample is this plastic sheet that was like a greenhouse covering, and it simply collected things falling out of the sky. You know, chemtrails fall out, fog fall out, whatever. And we found all these weird egg-looking structures and things that looked like bacteria. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the plastic in the petri dish, which also has nutrient media in it. We're going to add some cadmium. It was very high in aluminum. It was also whatever. Not only did this test crazy high in lead, it had alarming levels of mercury. It was high in cadmium. It was very high in aluminum. It was also high in copper and
Okay, so he's got several things. He's got a lot of the similar metals, but he's also got some things that are growing. We'll just keep moving right along. Then this is Dane, the Geoengineering Watch. And he's talking about...
Sure, again, including film footage. If people don't believe what they see with their own eyes, if they can see jet aircraft retrofit nozzles mounted on the wing pylons aimed into the exhaust jet stream to make us look like, quote, jet exhaust turning on and off, and we have documents, government, Senate, presidential, some 800 pages long, outlining these programs going back decades with budgets in the hundreds of millions of dollars then. And we look at testing, for example, that we've done working with the University of Minnesota, about 500 lab tests over that state, and extrapolating the amount of material in those precipitation tests, projecting that globally. And it appears somewhere in the range of 40 to 60 million tons of these particles are falling out annually, globally. And that's right in the range that the climate engineers have discussed as their objective. Every single puzzle piece connects here, Mike. These are sprayed particulate dispersions, period.
That's just extraordinary. I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Okay, and he's been testing the air and this stuff for over 20 years. And it's finally all coming to the surface. Here's his site. Again, this will be on the page over here. You can get more into what he's learned. Oh wait, yeah. This is the movie, the climate engineering movie documentary that he put together. It's 2 hours, way worth the watch.
And seeing this kind of spraying going on.
Okay.
I became involved in weather modification analysis due to my background as a weather observer in the United States Air Force. And as I was looking at the jet clouds in the sky, I realized that that's certainly not normal. And so I've been watching these abnormal clouds for a long time.
Well, I started to learn about geoengineering just in a very personal way. I decided to leave Washington in 1998. I bought a small property in a farm.
All right, and again, you can come back and watch these all later. And here's the Geoengineering Watch site. And the irony, so you've seen the documentation, you've seen everything going on, and you know there's a whole evil side to all this, right? So I put this link in there. We're not going to watch any of it. But this Cyrus guy, he's all got some alien connection issue going on with also technology and NASA. All this is kind of conglomerated into a bunch of scientists that are, I don't feel very trustable. Anyways, but we do have great people out here screwing up what we need to do. And that's what we need to do is right now, you can go and review these pages that I've put together, some research. Okay, it's got a lot of what we just went over. Here's the other research books that I've used, chewed up, and figured out how to try to apply. People I've talked with, discussed, studied. I didn't talk to Emoto, I've talked to Bearden before he passed. I've studied Schoberger's work, which I really wanted to go into. I'll have to go into that another time. This is one of his books here. But there's this interesting discussion that goes on here, especially towards the end. Carrie here, she's pretty interesting. It gets out there a little bit, down some rabbit holes that people may not want to go down. But when you consider everything we just saw and what's going on, I just thought I'd throw that in there for kind of cheap entertainment. Okay, the most important thing, really, excuse me, is getting to these sources up here. The COVID updates, COVID resources. These right here. The company that those the long haulers use is here, and you can press and go right on here. I've made this super easy if you want to get the product from them. I'd make no money off of this. I've made it very simple to help people. That's just really it. You can get them other places. Okay, I think that's about it. If you have any questions at all, you can get in touch with me. I encourage you to go and look at what this site's about. This is really, how would you say, my purpose is to try to establish a regional food security model so that we can have healthy food and local healing herbs to help combat all this stupid stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. I hope this helped. Have a great day.